welcome back to the Fin Factor. I'm Paul.
And I'm Aaron.
This is episode number 144. No special thing about 144 this time around. I know I had the 143 thing earlier, but we are coming off the heels of a win, the first ever win for the San Jose Sharks against the Seattle Kraken. How about that, huh?
It's so sad.
It is kind of sad, isn't it?
Yeah. It's almost March, and they finally got a win against the Kraken.
Well, this is only the third time they played them, to be fair. But yes, the first two meetings, Kraken did take that one away. They're not last in the Pacific, but they are down there.
They are, funny you should, Seattle's last in the Pacific.
Oh, they are?
Yes. And they're third to last in the NHL.
Okay, then.
So they have 16 wins, 14 in regulation. 2 of those are against the Sharks.
Well, not one tonight, at least. So we pick up the 2 points. Happy about that. We can talk about the games from this previous week here. But I think first, Aaron wanted to touch on the Mario Ferraro injury that happened the game previous against Boston.
Yeah, this happened last night. I was at the game last night, and it was actually like right in front of me. Hard to see because it was up against the boards. But Taylor Hall kind of nudged Ferraro into the boards as he was kind of stopping. Skates give out, and he slid feet first into the boards, and his ankle twisted wrong.
Yeah.
We weren't sure. I mean, for us, we didn't get to see the replay in the arena, so I didn't get to watch it until afterwards when I got home. But it looked like it was either a high ankle sprain or something else worse, maybe a broken bone. And we find out today that he had broken his fibula. Was it his lower left fibula? And he already had surgery today to repair it.
Right.
So they're expecting a recovery of 6 to 8 weeks, which is pretty much what's left of the season.
Right, yeah. So he's basically done. I'll tell you what, Sharks fans everywhere with an upper body injury right now, their heart is damaged.
It's brutal, man. Like, just it's another one of the top guys out.
He's Burns' go-to partner.
Yes.
I mean, that's that's no easy thing to replace. So, it just sucks. Again, the Sharks have a player that is a higher caliber on the team and is of great importance to the team, and he gets injured and he's out for an extended period of time.
I mean, not only that, but he's out of the locker room. He won't even be in the locker room to be with the guys during his recovery. So,
I mean, not suiting up. Maybe he puts the suit and cast on.
I don't think they usually keep injury players away from the locker room. I mean, I don't know if they can keep Mario out, but that's typical. They don't usually go in the locker room because then guys are going to, you want them to focus on the game and stuff. Maybe at practices and stuff, but he's probably going to be rehabbing. Yeah. So it's not like he's going to have a bunch of free time here. He's going to be, surgery's done now. Now he's going to be resting, but then he's going to have to rehab and get back. Because, going under the knife and you're a guy who is a professional athlete, you go under the knife and then you're recovering for a few days because you can't even walk. You're losing your muscle mass big time. Like, I don't foresee him. I mean, unless the Sharks were in the playoffs, he would probably be pushing himself to get that last weekend before the playoffs start, to kind of get back into game shape and the speed thing. But that's going to be a lot of muscle mass gone. So for me, it's not going to be worth for him to push himself to get back that last week. You might as well get completely healthy, work that leg out like crazy so that you come back next season strong and ready to go.
Interestingly for me, getting back to game speed is always one of those things that we talk about when a player gets injured and has to come back and play the game. Mario Ferraro for me is like the one player that I would not be too concerned with getting back to game speed because his normal game speed is like hyper speed. He's always, again, this is what I love about Mario Ferraro. He's always chugging and working and burning out there. You never see him coasting around and going slow. His top speed, not just in a straight line, but his go. You know what I mean? He's got that effort. That it means so much for this team and for the way that he plays. I don't expect that if he were to come back, he would be too slow and have to take time to come up right. Erik Karlsson, on the other hand, I could see him, after a leg injury or something, taking a little while to get back up to speed. We've seen Vlasic taking a while to get back to speed when he was injured the season previous. Or the season previous to that, I can't remember now. Regardless, I could see them taking a while, but Ferraro for me he'd be amped and jacked and ready to go.
Yeah. We have a clip here of Bob Bugner. This was from last night, so after the game where he got injured. They didn't know the extent of the injury just yet. But the question was, how hard is it to lose yet another defenseman that's in your starting lineup? And then also there's some follow-up questions here about Ryan Merkley, who kind of, because he was out in that game, had to step up and get some bigger minutes. So kind of his thoughts on both the injury to Ferraro and Ryan Merkley stepping up.
No update. I know they're checking him out, and we'll probably know tomorrow, a little more tomorrow morning. It's just one after another. Obviously, I think we talked about that this morning. I think 12 defensemen or something we've gone through already. And that's the other thing. I think that we got 8 regulars out of our lineup, right? If you start considering Milosh and Magna and Karlsson and Labanc and Ishoff and Rudy Balcers, I mean, the list goes on and on. It's tough to keep plugging holes every night. I think I'll give credit to the guys, though. I thought they played hard and they competed hard, and we just got to find a way to come back tomorrow and play a smart game on a back-to-back.
What did you think of that hit by Hall?
I only got to see it once on the bench, and it didn't look like there was a ton of contact to me. It looked like Merrill went in a little bit off balance, but it's I'd have to look at it again to give you an honest opinion. There's so much going on over there back on the bench.
And at the end of the game, it looked like Ryan Merkley was getting a lot of minutes. Obviously, Ferraro being out obviously was a part of the reason, but he was generating a lot of offense there. Just what did you think of his play?
Yeah, I think that's his. He made a mistake on the first goal. It was a difficult pinch to make at that time. I guess I can call it a young mistake, but I thought he played fairly well the last 2 games. I thought that he's learning. He's learning when to go and when not to go, and you saw at the end that his true hockey sense and his assets are being able to distribute that puck and make some plays under pressure. And I thought that he did well there. But he's coming along. He's coming along, and he's starting to get a little bit of physicality to his game in the D zone, which we've been asking to jump the check a little harder and a little quicker. And those things are starting to come.
I just saw the comments. Sorry about the music. Super producer Jason is going to fix that for the feed later, but you guys got to enjoy. We like the song so much that we just kept playing it while we were talking. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
So I want to address something that Bob said at the beginning of that clip. He was talking about having, I think he said going through 12 defensemen. Mm-hmm. 8 of the regulars are out. I think people tend to forget. They go, man, the Sharks are terrible.
Yeah.
And you kind of leave it at that. And the Sharks as just an entity, and you forget about all the things that make up the Sharks, right? There are a lot of players that are missing from this roster, and there are a lot of guys that are coming in, stepping in, filling holes, as he had said. And to think that these guys, and we saw it with Jonathan Dahlen, he started off hot and then kind of just fell off a cliff. Nobody has heard from him in a while. A lot of these guys are just hanging on for dear life, right? In the NHL, they're doing the best that they can, and that's where the Sharks are right now. I think, again, if everybody was healthy, we'd see a different team, but this is what they have to work with, and they're all trying to step up in their own way, and the veterans are doing the best they can to snot and duct tape their lines together with, the guys that they're paired with or the guys that they're on their line. So I think fans sometimes maybe lose sight of that, of the fact that the Sharks at any one given night are not the Sharks on another given night. It's a very different group.
It's a very different team when you have 8 of your regulars out of the lineup, for regardless of who those guys are, if they're 3rd, 4th line guys or top guys. So, just the amount of injuries, or what do they call it? Man game injuries.
Man games lost or something like that.
Yeah, due to injury. Yeah. It's incredible for the Sharks. And the Sharks are just not built for the depth. They don't have the depth to plug in all these holes. I mean, you're plugging one hole and trying to plug the other one, and the leak just keeps coming. So that's why I think last week we were talking about getting rid of Bugner, and saying he's not the answer. He's not the problem. Bugner is not the problem. Bugner, to me, is doing a fantastic job of holding it all together as best as he can. And the Sharks not, absolutely tanking and falling to the bottom of the standings.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about the other games this week a little bit later on probably, but I mean, essentially what it comes down to is 5 out of a possible 8 points out of a trip that was the loss was, I mean, the loss where you got no points was against Boston. Boston's a pretty good team.
Yeah.
So to be able to pull out 5 out of the 8 points still with, again, snot and duct tape for the most part, right? So Again, I don't think that Bob Bugner is the problem. Is he the best coach in the NHL? No, of course not. He's not the best coach in the NHL. Is he doing a pretty bang-up job with what he's got? Yeah, I have to take my hat off to the guy. I think he's done fine. He's done well. So, I don't know. I don't think that the criticism is warranted. I don't think it's justified. I think he's doing the best he can, and I really can't say anything bad about it. Given the circumstances, I'd like to see some other coaches in the league go through this much adversity and see how they land,
Absolutely.
Right? Without the depth that team may have.
They most likely would be fired. And I'm not saying Bugner should be. I'm just saying like most other teams would be like, well, you can't handle that? Like, get out of here. Right. Anyway, speaking of injuries, we have an update on Erik Karlsson, his injury. He had surgery on January 24th. His son was born a week after that, so kind of fortuitous timing on his part to have surgery because he was able to be home for a couple weeks while his second kid was born. And he mentioned that his wife was very thrilled about that too. But he also mentioned, I mean, he did an interview earlier this week, that this injury was something that had been lingering from before the season started, and it just progressively got worse. And all we know is it's a forearm injury. I don't think we know any specifics, but that's kind of interesting that this was another thing that carried into the season, I suppose. But the good news is that he was supposed to be reevaluated in mid-March, and he's most likely going to be back by mid-March. Right. So he's about 2 weeks away. He's not quite practicing. I think he's going to start skating soon and be practicing very soon. But he mentioned that he wouldn't be ready for an NHL game because it's going to take probably one slash on that arm and he's going to be done. So he's going to have to build up strength, muscle, get back up to speed and everything else. But looks like Karlsson should be coming back right around close to the trade deadline.
No, don't you dare. Don't start. Because you know what they're going to do in the comments, man. You say stuff like that. Yeah, and unfortunately, it's not just upper body injury. Everybody knows where it is. So that slash on the arm might be coming sooner than later.
Right.
And it's the unfortunate truth of it, right?
Yeah. So I was say, without Karlsson in the lineup, the Sharks went 3-5-2.
Was it 3-5-2 or 2? Oh, well, tonight,
including tonight's game, 3-5-2. But one of those is a shootout win. So it's really, an NHL 3-5-2.
Yeah.
To me, that's 2 regulation wins, 5 regulation losses, and then 3 games that went to overtime, I suppose you could say.
Right.
So 3 ties.
Yeah, and I think if Karlsson's in the lineup, obviously, you get that extra little punch. We talked about this before. I think as early as last episode, even where, this is a guy that helps push that play. He helps get that puck across the blue line to help get you set up in the zone. Now, interestingly, the power play has actually been doing pretty well without him. And I don't want to stray away from Erik Karlsson conversation necessarily, but I want to say Ryan Merkley looks pretty good around in that second unit.
His bread and butter to me is dancing on that blue line when he has the puck on his stick. He's not always perfect.
Yeah.
Tonight he missed a couple, or he mishandled the puck a couple times, but absolute, his skating is unreal, and his puck possession just making penalty killers look like fools up there. It's fantastic. I love it.
And you mentioned his skating, and one of the things I wanted to talk about actually was in tonight's game. He had the puck. He was bringing it up through the neutral zone. Now, he does the turn backwards, look back like he's going to make the pass. I think he was actually mohawking at the time. And he's looking back like he's going to do it, and the person defending him bites on it and starts to slow up to go and play where he's supposed to pass it. Just turns himself right back around and walks across that blue line. And it felt like Erik Karlsson to me. It felt very much like I am comfortable with the puck. I'm comfortable if you're nearby that I can control it still. It's not an issue. I'm happy doing this. And he was calm, cool, and collected while he did it, and he just coasted right across the blue lines, right across the blue line. No issues, was just very content, and he looked very comfortable. And again, for me, it was a moment in time. I'm not trying to get over the top here. It was a moment in time, but if that's the type of thing that he can start bringing night in, night out, he's going to find himself on an NHL roster, even if it's not with the Sharks. He's going to find himself on an NHL roster doing exactly that, being that that power play specialist type player who is still a threat 5-on-5. Maybe he's a little bit of a liability defensively here and there, but the NHL is chock full of these guys too, right? It's not like it's a dead position. you've got guys that can generate offense that you have to pair with somebody who can be that stalwart, right? We saw with Burns and Šimik when Šimik was his partner, right? That Šimik is all D all day. Which, by the way, we saw another big hit from Šimik today at the blue line. He's very good at that. But anyway, just a little bit of defenseman talk since we're missing so many of them. I want to pump these guys up, man. They're doing a great job, I think. So
Anthony Sanchez says Merkley needs to get stronger on his defensive game.
Sure.
Absolutely. That's kind of what has slowed his progression into being an NHL regular. Going into the season, everyone was kind of expecting him to be one, but I think just his offensive is not the problem. His offense is not the problem. It's his defensive game liabilities, the reads on when to what's the word pinch,
when to step up, when to pinch. Well, yeah.
And we heard Bugner say, it was his fault basically on that goal because he misread that pinch, and it's kind of a rookie mistake.
Right.
So he's going to have a lot of those. There's going to be some growing pains with him. He is going to be, and he needs to get bigger. He needs to bulk up. And remember, for his age, or for his age group, he's young. He's on the young side of it. So he's only 21, I believe.
And to be fair, he's started that process. He has bulked up a little bit. He has gotten bigger. And the more he continues to do that, obviously, the bigger he's going to get, the stronger he's going to get, the stronger on his skates he's going to get. He has that strength in his skating, not to get pushed off the puck so easily. It's going to grow with that experience. And his confidence with the puck is just going to be that much more than it already is. Yeah. His vision on the ice is phenomenal. You see him making these passes, or at least attempting to find these passes, guys that are, sort of open, but he can hit them, right? Even tonight, you saw him just he wanted to pass, and he just turned and took a shot instead. You don't normally see that out of Ryan Merkley. Yeah. He wants to find the pass first. He's that kind of type of player, but he, again, confident enough that, I'm just going to rip it on net, and he fired it on. And
I want to see him shoot more, because last night's game, he got himself into some really good positions in the slot where he dekes the guy at the blue line and skates in at the, the top of the slot area, and has a good angle to shoot at, and then he passed it away. It's like, you had the time and the space.
Yeah.
Rip it. Just rip it. Yeah. So I think that's going to build over time as well. Like, yes, his offense is good, but it's the confidence that you belong in the league, you're doing good things, and you can make the plays. That's what will slowly come over time, and we're starting to kind of see it now.
Yeah. I want to say real quick here that we didn't get to do at the top of the show. First of all, if you're enjoying the conversation right now, go ahead and hit that like button. If you want to be a part of the lives of going forward and you're not subscribed to us, please hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so that you know when we are going live. That way you can be part of this conversation all the time. Also, if you've got friends, some of you don't, it's okay. But if you've got friends and family, please retweet us, share us, whatever it is, get us out there. Do it right now, actually. Get those people in here, get those conversations flowing, because we do enjoy all the comments and whatnot. Speaking of comments, do we have any comments you want to address right now before we jump on to the next one?
It's basically into our next topic. So.
Let's do that. See, I can segue without even trying. You don't even know. I just use these people to do it. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to talk about the standings, but
okay.
We could circle back to that because it's all related.
Sure.
We are going to talk about Hurdle Watch.
Oh, God.
Bum, bum, bum.
Dun, dun, dun.
The trade deadline is coming.
Yes, it is.
It's imminent. We're about 3 weeks away, roughly. 3 weeks tomorrow, I believe, is the trade deadline. And we talked about this 2 weeks ago, that these next 2 weeks are pivotal to figure out what's going to happen with Hurdle. Is he going to re-sign, or are they going to trade him? And Joe Will, we had clips last week of Joe Will talking about it, who is the acting GM right now for the Sharks. He basically said they're working on re-signing. They haven't talked about any other options at the moment.
Right.
What I think the Sharks, I mean, they're not dumb. They're not flying by the seat of their pants. They have multiple plans set out based on where the Sharks are at certain points.
Totally.
If they don't have X amount of points, or they aren't X amount of points away from moving up in the standings by this date, this happens. If they are, this happens.
Right.
If they are this happens. I think they're getting to that point where they're not going to make playoffs. It's seeming very, very likely right now. I mean, Hurdle is just one of the pieces that could be moved. I'm not saying he will be.
Yeah.
But he's also the best way of us getting anything back that's worth anything.
He's going to be your biggest return.
Exactly.
He's absolutely going to be your biggest return. The only thing I don't like about a Hurdle trade, and I brought this up in previous show, was you're going to trade him to a team that is probably going to be, they're obviously playoff bound. So you're talking about a team that's not in the lottery conversation, right? So you're talking about a team that you're probably looking at 20th plus, right? 20th to 32nd. Tomas Hertl to me is, I don't like the idea of pulling another, even Ryan Merkley. I don't like the idea of pulling another, what was his name, Goldobin, or, you know what I mean? That to me, unless it's a super deep draft, you know,
it's not just the first round pick.
No, and it's a prospect as well.
Exactly.
Right, you get the prospect as well, and
So
you'll probably end up
essentially-
pulling a player that's an NHL ready player to kind of backfill that position for the rest of the season.
You could have a former first round prospect,
right,
or a prospect that was a former first round pick,
right,
a first round pick. So that's 2 first round picks essentially,
right,
for Hertl, and maybe even another player for a guy that won't even re-sign with that team and could possibly re-sign with the Sharks.
A former first-round pick who was picked probably 20-something overall. If this is a team that's, you know what I'm saying?
Ryan Merkley was 21st overall.
Yeah.
I think that's a serviceable NHL player.
Serviceable, yes. Do I want serviceable out of trade for Hertl?
Would you rather him walk for nothing?
No,
and
absolutely
not.
not. No, absolutely not. But that's what I'm getting at. To me, this situation sucks.
Yeah.
I'd rather re-sign him, and I understand the arguments for not re-signing him. A lot of fans don't get it. A lot of fans are, well, he's great. Why would you get rid of him? They're stupid. Fire the GM. No, that's not exactly how it works, guys. Like, yes, of course he's great. Of course we want him. Of course he's said that he wants to come back. He's also got to say certain things, right? He can't be like, yeah, no, I want to leave. Yeah. You can't do that. So he's a guy that wants to win. He's a guy that wants to compete. And if the Sharks can't do that, and they're not looking like they're going to do that for the next 3 years or so, then does he want to sign a long-term contract and lock himself into this situation? Probably not.
To me, it's going to look similar to the Erik Karlsson trade, where they're going to get some assets for the trade, and then there's going to be a caveat if he re-signs with that team.
Yeah.
You're going to kick back another first-round pick, another, I don't know if it'd be a prospect or maybe like multiple picks, right?
Yeah.
For spread out throughout the next couple of years so that they could reap the benefits of not, the Sharks could reap the benefits of not signing and trading Hertl.
It might be too early for a roll call, correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe I at least want to hear opinions from everybody on this.
Sure. Let's do it.
What was, I don't know, what's the return you're looking for out of this?
What would make you happy?
What would make you happy? What would make you guys happy?
If the Sharks were to trade Hertl, what would be a good return in your opinion? A realistic good return.
Yeah, Tavares and no,
Yeah.
come on. And I think, maybe if you bake in there that it's teams that are playoff bound, it's teams that have that hole to fill or whatever. But
whatever. I don't need
just
specifics.
in general, are you looking for? I think the basic here is first round pick, high end prospect, and then probably just an NHL veteran player that's maybe on an expiring contract, whatever. Just because they're probably gonna need to dump some salary or whatever.
Or
although
contract.
Or contract, because his contract's actually pretty good. It's really.
The Sharks could
reasonable.
also withhold salary.
Yeah, that's true.
If they need to, right?
One season, so
Right.
yeah. I'm interested what you guys think would be a good return, a good realistic return. For me, I if we could convince him to resign, I'd be super happy with that. But I just don't want to waste the guy's time either. You know what I mean? You take a look at Eklund in Sweden. I think somebody pointed out that he's got in 20 games, he's got 11 assists, no goals, and a -11. And they're like, "This is our future." It's like, well, yeah, that's part of our future. Sorry to bum you out, but
It's not going to be blown. It's just whatever.
It's going to take time. He's going to get different
People's
systems.
expectations are so off.
Yeah.
For a lot of the stuff. All right, let's do roll call. Tell us where you're watching from and what would make you happy for a realistic return for Hertl. What do you think? I don't know. Not what you think would happen, but what would you be satisfied with?
Yeah.
How about that?
The bare minimum you'd be satisfied with, because everybody would be satisfied with 5 first-round picks, right? So give me the bare minimum that you'd be.
Front ends
happy
in Hertl to Tampa Bay for 2 first-round picks.
This coming draft
Probably
and the
this
next
year,
draft.
next year.
Yeah. No, not. I think just 2 first-round picks isn't enough, because they're going to be a great team for a few more years, and again, you're probably looking at pick number 29 to 32 for the next 2 years. To me, that is not Hertl worthy.
How about Jaron Adams, Alex Lafreniere, and a first-round pick? That would be baller.
Lafreniere?
Yes. Sorry, I'm terrible with French. I took Spanish. This is a former first overall pick.
Yeah.
Only 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't think the Rangers would. Well, I don't want to say the Rangers.
I don't know how he's doing
wouldn't.
though. How's he doing right now?
He's okay. He's not superstar status at all, but he doesn't need to be because they have so many. They have Panarin on their team. They have so many stars on their team. So, yeah. Ben and Guntree said, if you don't want a late first round pick this year, how about 2 firsts in 23 and 24 plus assets? At least rolling the dice at the other team playing poorly in the future season. And he's in Thailand, by the way. Wow, nice.
Do you live in Thailand, or are you just visiting? Like you're in Thailand right now, by the way. Is that what you mean?
He lives in Thailand. I think.
He lives there.
Yeah. Lundy said he's in Minnesota and hurdle for Gaudreau and picks. Lundy, man. Expand your horizons past.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, I know. You didn't say Braun, right? Can you believe it?
You got to throw a 3-way trade scenario in there where we get Braun too somewhere.
Oh, you did say it?
We would be better if Braun never left.
Yeah.
There it is. We got it. Thanks, Lundy.
Lundy also said hurdle for Ovechkin, I think is what he's saying. Ovi. 48 for Ovi.
They wouldn't do it.
No way. No, Ovechkin's going to stay in Washington. I can't imagine him ever leaving.
I would say he would turn gray in Washington, but he's already done that.
So much salt.
Yeah, he'll turn blood,
Less
maybe.
pepper.
Yeah.
No, I did see somewhere trading Vlasic to Montreal for Carey Price.
Oh, yeah, of course.
That's an interesting trade there. I don't hate that.
Okay.
I don't hate that. I mean,
I don't know that I particularly like it.
I threw that out of left field to you. Sorry, but
no, I don't know that I particularly like it. So okay, what's the? Is there even a timetable on Carey Price?
I'm looking. He makes $10.5 million a year. Well, Vlasic makes $7 million.
Yeah.
Right. So you're paying $3.5 million more.
Right, but then you're paying 2 players
For
a combined
I
$21 million.
I gotta look this up because Carey Price is paid through 25-26. So after this season, another 4 seasons after this one, right?
No.
Let me get to.
Yeah, I'll go in this camera too. No. No.
Vlasic is $7 million through the same timeline, so we'll be paying $3.5 million more. What if they retained salary to match it? Would you rent Carey Price over Vlasic? If it's a wash.
And Carey Price at least has an opportunity to come back and has a much higher ceiling than Vlasic would have in his respective position.
I mean, at worst, you have a very good 1B goalie.
Yeah.
And you can develop
leadership.
Another goalie.
Yeah. Okay, fine. I don't hate it, but no. I don't think I do that. That just seems like a trade just for the sake of making a trade.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I don't know.
What's the point? You've already got how many defensemen do we have out? Do we really need to take?
I don't mean this trade deadline. I mean this could be like in the summer.
Sure. No, I don't like that either.
Sorry. All right. How about Capo Caco and a first round pick?
Oh, that's interesting.
I think I'd rather have Lafreniere.
Okay.
Than Capo Caco, although his name is awesome.
Yeah. I think the name is worth some money right there.
Hurdle to Winnipeg for some draft picks and Kyle Connor.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, I'm taking that deal.
Ben said it's time to blow up the team, maybe.
Again, I said this last episode, and Aaron's just pointing.
It's our next point.
Our next point. It is our next point?
Yeah.
Oh, it's on the board there?
Yeah.
Okay. So I said this last time. If Hurdle goes, I think it makes sense, and I'm okay with the Sharks going into full-blown rebuild mode now. Jonathan Becker, on the other hand, disagrees. He's saying we're not going through a full-blown rebuild. We're not going to do that. I know you had said this is kind of what it looks like. This is what the Sharks rebuild looks like without them actually using the word. But I think this is what I don't think they're going through a rebuild right now. I think if they send Hurdle away, which is totally justified, I think that opens the door for them to finally say, fine, we're rebuilding. Right? That, for me, Hurdle's the last straw for me. No?
No.
Okay.
I talked to the super producer Jason about this before the show about, do you remember Pee Wee Herman's Playhouse?
Yeah.
And they had the word of the day?
Yeah.
I think rebuild. Rebuild is the word of the day.
Okay.
Or anytime anyone says it, we just go nuts. Like, whatever. This is a rebuild.
Okay.
This is a rebuild.
Okay.
They're just not blowing up the team to do it. They're slowly getting rid of the pieces.
It's not a rebuild then.
It's not, because they need to still be entertaining. They need to still retain some of these guys. These guys can still play.
Okay.
They're not all dead weight. Vlasic maybe is probably the only exception right now.
Right.
But to me, this is the rebuild. They're going to do it slowly. They're adding prospects. If you look at their prospects 2 years ago, they were the worst.
Yeah.
Like one of the, maybe not the worst, but very, very bottom, worst 5 in the league. 2 years later, I'd say they're middle of the pack. 15th.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think in another 1 to 2 years, they're going to be closer to 10, top 10 in the league.
Okay.
I mean, granted, they're getting higher end picks,
right?
Higher end first round picks being added, but they're slowly doing this because they cannot completely sell everyone off and tank. They won't sustain it. Nobody's going to come to the games. Right now, people are still going to the games because it's a crapshoot. Are they going to win or not? I don't know, but they're not the worst team in the league. They're not terrible. They're not Arizona. They're not Buffalo. I mean, okay, people want full rebuilds. This is the notes that I have. Let's look at Ottawa, Buffalo, and Arizona for their rebuilds. Ottawa blew up the team the year after Karlsson
blew up the team.
Yeah. The year after Karlsson, they went to the conference finals.
Yes.
They sold off all the pieces. Dzingel was one of them.
Right.
Karlsson was another one.
Yep.
What have they done since then?
Cool. No, I'm not saying no. I'm not saying that it works necessarily. What I'm saying is to call it a rebuild, you're talking about blowing up the team. If this is the Sharks' version of a rebuild, it's still a retool in every other sense of the word.
Right.
They're rebuilding their team, but they're doing it slowly and retooling.
It's the same thing.
No.
It's the same thing. Retooling is just slower process than rebuilding.
But that's just it.
Everyone thinks of rebuild as, we're selling everything, we're selling the farm, let's start fresh again. You can't really do that unless you are a big market team.
You certainly can't do it when you're holding on to contracts that have veteran players for longer term. So that's why I don't necessarily see this team going into a full-blown rebuild. But for me, if you're going to get rid of Hurdle, that opens the door. It's like we got Timo Meier. The rest of them are all veterans. They're all like aging veterans that have longer-term contracts.
I'm not too worried about it because we have some prospects that are going to fill some top 6 roles next season.
Yeah.
Maybe 1 or 2.
Sure.
Bring in a couple free agents.
Are they ready for those top 6 roles, or are we just filling them in?
Doesn't matter. You could bring in one top free agent that's a top 6 guy.
Yeah.
You're going to fill in some gaps now because, we don't know what Kane's situation is going to be, but if Hurdle's not there and Kane's not there, that's a lot of money gone that you're going to be able to spend. I mean, they have to re-sign Meier. They'll probably give him a extension contract because it doesn't expire until the year after, and he's an RFA, so he's not going to be going anywhere.
Right.
But anyway, most of that money they're going to be able to use to sign a high-end draft pick. Now, all of a sudden, the team's going to be better than they were this year.
What high-end what high-end free agent wants to come to San Jose when you don't have Hurdle anymore?
One that's going to get ice time.
Okay.
More ice time here than they would anywhere else. The weather doesn't suck. I mean, home prices are kind of terrible, right? That's a big factor. It's a big factor for people that, hey, San Jose, the culture now is awesome. The team is very cohesive. The weather is, you can wear shorts practically year round.
I will call it a factor. I don't
Not
know if
the-
it's.
I wouldn't say-
I don't know if it's a big factor. I will call it a factor.
The fin factor.
The fin factor. Tying it all together. There it is.
Anyway, it's
Look, Aaron wants to give up right now. Can we get the camera on Aaron right now? This is the face of defeat.
This is ridiculous. Anyway, would you rather look at Buffalo? Buffalo is the other example I had. They drafted Jack Eichel second overall,
right?
Because it was the McJesus year.
Yes.
And they never made. He's never played a playoff game.
Absolutely.
And then what do? They blew up the team again.
Yeah.
This is why the Sharks cannot blow up the team, because it will be never ending for, I think, a decade. I think the way that they're doing it, They're going to turn this team around. I think playoffs is more realistic next season than it would be if they blew up the team. Like, you're just not going to see playoffs for 10 years.
No, when you blow
I think
up
we're going
the
to see
team,
playoffs in 2 years.
Yeah.
The latest.
Right. When you blow up the team, you have to expect the next 4 years or so are going to suck. Right? That's what you have to expect.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the Sharks even necessarily could blow up their team because, again, they've got these contracts that I don't want to say they can't move because then it makes it sound like they're necessarily bad contracts. And I know a lot of you are going to say, oh, they are bad contracts. But, I mean, you've said this too. Some of these guys are getting paid for past performances.
Exactly.
And that's okay, right? That's okay. Brent Burns' contract, I don't even hate Brent Burns' contract. There's nothing wrong with that contract. I know all of you hate Erik Karlsson's contract, but honestly, when the guy's on, he's one of the best absolutely in the league. And if we didn't pay him that much, I guarantee you there was at least another couple teams that would have gave him the same amount. Or, sorry, $11 million instead of $11.5 million. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's right there. There's teams that would have wanted his services, and that's how much his services cost. You want it, that's what you got to pay. Period. So, I mean, say what you will about it, if it's handcuffed the team and sort of, with the cap error and everything else, but if you wanted him, that's what you had to pay, and the Sharks wanted him, so that's what they paid. Again, for me, rebuild is really just like anything we can get for any of the assets that we have. And that's why I don't think that they really even could necessarily. But I'd be okay with them doing it now again because for me, Hertl is like that last piece, right? If you get rid of Hertl, even if they were to trade Meier, if Hertl and Meier were switched in this respective scenario, if Meier was the one that we were talking about being moved, but Hertl was still had a couple more years on his contract, I would say, okay, maybe we still don't. Maybe we just get something for Meier and then, go from there. For me, Hertl is part of that leadership group, that heartbeat of the team. Mm-hmm. If he goes, it's almost like, yeah, just may as well just dump anybody you can, right? There's a few exceptions, obviously. I think Ferraro, I said this last episode too, was I would keep Ferraro around. But, I mean, at that point, yeah, anybody you can get something for, just unload.
Yeah, that was my next question. Who are the untouchables?
Yeah.
I think Ferraro and Meier.
100% Ferraro. Meier, I would say yes to, mainly because he's an RFA still, for me.
To trade away?
No, you hang on to him still.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's mainly because for me, he's also an RFA, so you can still kind of control that situation a bit more. So for me, those two are pretty much untouchable. And it's funny because we didn't mention Logan Couture.
Yeah.
We didn't mention the captain in that. And I know a lot of you folks don't really care for Logan Couture as a captain, which I think is silly and ridiculous. And how could you possibly know if he's a good captain or not? Because if the record, you could be a good captain and have a team around you that's not playing well. I mean, Jonathan Toews, was he a good captain just when they won, and then he was a bad captain, in the years right after that? I don't believe that. I don't believe that he kind of fell off the map as a captain. Mm-hmm. I think the team around him just wasn't good. Does that make him a bad captain? I don't think so, right? So I'm in the same boat with Couture and just captains in general. I think it's an honor and everything, and you have to be a good captain you have to have those qualities to be a good captain and pump up your team and do all the things that a captain ought to do. But I don't think that you can look at the record and say, well, he's a bad captain. He's not working, right? That to me that doesn't correlate for me,
Right, yeah.
So it's interesting, though, that we didn't call out Logan Couture as one of those guys. And part of that maybe is because of the contract and he's got years left and et cetera, et cetera.
He's here through 26-27, so another 5 years after this season. To me, Couture, I could see being moved maybe with 3 years left on his contract because he's so clutch in the playoffs. He was, I believe, the last time they were in the playoffs, they got knocked out in the conference finals, and he was leading the league still in points. So he's always up there. If you take a look at his history, he's a clutch guy, clutch scorer. He gets you 60, 70 points in the season at most. Yeah. But in
he's like point per game plus
in the postseason. Yeah. So that's the kind of guys that people usually, or teams go after to bring to their team. And he's very defensive responsibly. So he's a good two-way forward. I think at that point later in his career, he would be a killer third-line center.
Oh, like totally.
You'd be stacking your team with him. I'm sure the Sharks maybe retain some salary. I mean, this is years down the road. Yeah. Wouldn't be anytime soon. But And hopefully by then, the salary cap goes up so much, like 6 years from now.
I guess this is part of what you're calling a rebuild. Like, this is the slowest rebuild process ever. Then if you're talking about, 3 years down the road, this is part of the rebuild. Like, then we've already been rebuilding for a couple years according to, we're still retooling. Like,
I'm just saying, if they were to trade Couture, I could see it happening then. I don't see it happening anytime before that.
Yeah, sure. No, I mean, I don't see it happening earlier either. I mean, again, he's got years. He's got many years on his contract. There's no reason to move him. So,
Anthony Sanchez just asked what happened to LeBanc. He had a shoulder surgery. He separated it, I think.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah, and this is back in Christmas time.
Yeah, you said December. I thought he was missing more of the season because he just seemed like a total ghost to me. But it was.
Does he have his contract? What happens?
Oh, is that what he means? His contract?
What happens to LeBanc?
For maybe he's asking about being traded. He's
Nothing.
got 2 more seasons after this at 4.75.
Yeah.
The only way he could get moved is if the Sharks retain salary, I think. If that's a $2 million player, that's a good third line, second power player, or power play specialist, basically.
You're not trading a whole heck of a lot for him, though.
Well, you can probably get some draft picks.
You got a handful of games from this season. You are not sure how this guy's going to come back. No, that's fine. But I'm just saying, it's not. If that was a scenario, if the scenario was he was getting traded this season, because he said what happens. If he was getting traded this season, it's not.
He just clarified. Do we trade LeBanc or do we keep him? I think you keep him at this point. Because I don't think any teams would be.
I think anyone's interested.
A guy.
In him.
First of all, he's underperforming, and he's coming off of shoulder surgery, and he's paid a lot of money,
more than he should be.
So I don't think he's tradable. Really, I don't think any team would take a chance on him. I mean, if they did, great. We'll take the assets, but. I mean, again, LeBanc was a 6th or 7th round pick.
Yeah.
And he's turning into an NHL regular. That's a pretty good pedigree there. And for all the people that always, bag on the development, the Sharks development, I think they do a fantastic job. In fact, going into the trade or the draft this year, right now the Sharks have everything except a 2nd round pick. So they have a 1st, 3rd, 4th, 5th from Buffalo, which is even better.
Yeah.
6th, and then 3 7th round picks because they love those 7th round picks. They have their own, they have Arizona's, and they have Minnesota's. So that Arizona pick will be I think right now they're the worst in the league.
You got it wrong, by the way. They don't have a 5th, and they have 5 7ths.
No, they do it.
Because Joe Will's going to trade the 5th. Yeah. We already know, and we're going to get 2 more 7ths out of it.
7th round picks.
He plays his cards right. He can get 2 7ths for the 6th.
I fully expect the Sharks to make some trades by the deadline, and I bet they will have a 2nd round pick. If Hurdle goes, they should definitely have another 1st round pick. That would be 2 1st round picks. So 2 guys in the top 30 drafted guys. That's pretty good to add to your prospect list. And then if they get another 2nd round, that'd be fantastic.
I would be very happy with that later round pick if it just turns out to be a gem. Somebody that the other teams passed on, didn't scout correctly, whatever, and all of a sudden, boom, he's
prospect. You mean
draft pick? I'm gonna say, yeah. Okay. So if other teams had passed on him for whatever reason, and Sharks snag him up, and they're very happy to have him, and he just kind of not explodes like first line superstar, but if he became like even like 2nd line guy.
When you get out of the top, depending on the draft year, I'd say top 5 to 10.
Yeah.
I'd say the first 5 picks are guys that most likely could play in the NHL right away. Then you get outside of that 5 to 10 range, I'd say 5 to 15 or 5 to 12. Mm-hmm. That's a guy who's going to be playing in a year from then. Then you get to the later one, and still in the 1st round, I'd say the 12 to the 20th pick. You're talking 2 years, and then past that's going to be 2 to 3 depending on the player.
Past that, it's still pretty much a crapshoot, though.
Right.
Yeah. And that's why Joe Will likes to trade down. Because the difference between a 5th round pick and a 7th round pick in terms of skill level and the propensity to find himself on an NHL roster is not that much. So if you can swing and hit on one of the 2 7ths, it's better than rolling the dice on the 1 5th. Right?
Yep.
So, we keep kind of bouncing back and forth in this whole 1st round thing. Again, for me, you know how I am. I like the known good. And that was one of the reasons I was like, hey, let's trade that 1st round for Evander Kane. because I know what Evander Kane brings. I'm happy with that. And quite frankly, I still think that's the right call, or was the right call. Now, the long term, obviously, was not so hot, but what he brought was exactly what we needed, exactly what we thought we were going to get, as opposed to using that draft pick on a player. Who knows which player they decided to pick. You can go back and see which player they grabbed for that pick, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that was on the Sharks list, right? The Sharks might have wanted somebody else, and that player may or may not have turned out to be the goal scorer that Evander Kane was, the force on the ice that Evander Kane was. Obviously, that all went south, but in the time that he did spend in San Jose that was fruitful, he was definitely worth that first-round pick. So, for me, like I said, I like the known good. If we could get Hertl back in here, I would totally do it. I would be very happy to do it. But I don't know. I don't know. All signs point to he's going to be traded. He should be traded. And that's just the reality of it. It's a sad reality, but that's the reality of it.
I mean, we're talking about this for a while, and I bet he's going to sign an 8x8 contract.
So, okay, that's the other side of this coin. If he signs 8x8,
would you be happy with that?
I'd be happy to have him back, but dude, we got a lot of money tied up. You got to unload one of those bigger contracts, and you got to do it before it expires.
And he's 28 years old.
So 8x8, that puts him at 36. Are you happy with that? Are you happy to have him until he's 36?
I don't know, man. I don't want to say he's injury prone, but those knees took a beating in a couple years. I don't know if I would, like, to me, and I think someone had mentioned this earlier, no more 8-year contracts.
Yeah.
Like, sign guys 4 to 5 years from now on.
Yeah.
Lundy said Hertl for Claude Giroux. Claude Giroux is an interesting one. I thought let's say Hertl is traded.
Okay.
Claude Giroux is a UFA after this year.
Okay.
What if the Sharks brought in Claude Giroux as their second line center next year as a UFA? Because he's going to be a UFA unless he resigns with the team.
Then you would trade Hertl for
whoever,
draft picks, and then go to the UFA market and get Claude Giroux.
Who cares?
Okay.
Forget Hertl. Let's just assume Hertl is gone and gets traded. Then we go and get Claude Giroux as a second line center.
I mean, look, there's going to be tons of players that are going to be on their expiring contracts or have expired their contract, and then they're going to be looking for a team. But again, for me, the question is, why the Sharks? Why do these guys, especially Claude Giroux, who's kind of up there, right? He's getting up there.
Yeah.
Why would he want to come to the Sharks, a team that's missed the playoffs 3 years in a row? For ice time, I don't think he cares that much about having more ice time. I think he'd like to have a cup.
Drew's 34. Sign him 3-year deal.
I don't.
No?
I don't.
I don't know, man. He still scores.
How old was Pavs?
35. Problem with Pavs is he wanted term. He wanted
3 years.
He wanted 3 years, but when you hit that 35 age, if you get hurt or you're terrible or you buy him out, you're stuck with that salary. I think that's what the Sharks were worried about.
And how old's Claude Giroux again?
34.
34.
Well, they learned their lesson with Pavelski for not signing him.
I don't give him... Well, yeah, right.
Okay, I'll just name, these are the top 10 guys that are free agents going into next season.
Okay.
Evgeny Malkin. Imagine if they signed Malkin, right?
But how much is he going to cost?
Speaking of injury prone, well, he just made $9.5 million. That's the salary he's coming off. I don't think it would cost that much, and he's 35. PK Subban, no thanks. Claude Giroux, yes. Phil Kessel, still only 34. Can you believe that? This guy's been playing forever. Patrick Laine
I go after Phil Kessel. I do.
Laine's an RFA, so that would be interesting if they traded for him.
Is Laine another head case though?
He's a goal scorer. I don't think he's a head case. He went from Winnipeg, where he was the man.
Yeah.
He got demoted because Kyle Connor took over his spot.
Right.
And he got less ice time. So he got traded to Columbus, and then he was under Tortorella for a hot minute until he got fired. And now Columbus is a terrible team. They don't have enough pieces for him. He is... You line him up with... I don't know. That's a whole other story.
He's an RFA. The only way you're getting him is through a trade then.
In the offseason, you could trade for his rights to sign him and all that, possibly. Chris Letang is another one. Marc-Andre Fleury, interesting. He's 37, though. Matthew Tkachuk is another RFA. Pavelski is a UFA.
Matthew Tkachuk?
RFA. That Calgary's going to sign him long term. Patrice Bergeron. You wouldn't want Bergeron?
How old's he?
36.
There you go. If you're talking about, there's a difference here now. If you're talking about stopgap,
how about Johnny?
Then fine.
Johnny Gaudreau. He's only 28.
Oh, I take him all day.
That's a left winger right there.
All day.
Another one?
Mr.
Anyway,
Hockey.
There's lots. Like again, there's
Johnny
lots.
Hockey.
There's tons of UFA that could come in and fill roles for guys that we trade away. Right? Tons of guys. The question is, how much money do we have left after all this is said and done? And if you're letting a bunch of these guys go, yeah, you probably have a pretty good purse to work with, right? So that's the first question. The second question is, why do they want to come to San Jose unless you're promising them, look at all the guys that we're going to sign in free agency, right? Look at all these aging veterans that you just named off, 36 years old, 34 years old, 37 years old, whatever. Like why do they want to come here, right? Don't tell me the weather. Don't tell me the weather.
The guys want to play in the NHL. What if they don't have any other offers?
If they don't have any other offers, I don't know that we want them. Why isn't anybody offering these guys
anything?
anything?
Kidding me?
I'm telling you, dude, there's a reason.
Are you?
There is a reason.
Dear Lord, man.
Just the same. Just saying. Anyway,
You're ridiculous.
You wanted to talk about players other than Hurdle that are leaving, or that could
Correct.
be leaving.
So the trade market, if you will.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's like, look at Barclay Goodrow.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was kind of a shock for us because he had 2 years left on his contract.
Big time shock.
He wasn't a UFA. I don't think anyone really saw that coming.
Yeah.
But the Tampa Bay Lightning were like, we want this guy. Why? Because he was a penalty killer, and that's what they needed. Sharks are not a great team, but what is really great is their penalty kill is second in the league.
Yeah.
They are elite penalty killers. Who is leading that on the penalty killing? Who are our 4 forwards that normally play?
Oh, God. Logan Couture is usually out there.
Right. Couture and Hurl sometimes, but Nieto.
Yes, Nieto, thank
Cogliano,
you.
Bonino.
All free agents. All UFA. Last year of the contracts.
So this year's UFAs
Yeah.
are Dzingel, which would be great if they get any assets for Dzingel.
Yeah,
they pick
it's
him
free.
up for free.
Yeah.
Cogliano, Barabanov, who could be in the top 6 on a team, and Magna, which would be an interesting ad as a defenseman, like a depth defenseman.
Yeah, I think Magna's one of those guys that brings, he doesn't bring anything phenomenal, but you can get a return for him, sure.
So the guys that have a contract expiring after next season, so they have 2 years left basically, like Barclay Goodrow did, is both goalies, Reimer and Hill. I could see Reimer going because the team would be like, we have a rookie goalie or a guy who's kind of shaky and hasn't played much playoffs. We want a veteran backup that could take over if they need to and be solid and not be terrible. I'm not saying this could happen, but I think teams would be interested.
Sure.
Aiden Hill, I don't think teams would be interested in because he's too young. But Bonino and Nieto.
Aiden Hill's sample size is still really small.
Right.
I don't see that. But who are the other two now?
Bonino and Nieto.
Yeah.
I could see them going to a very strong team.
Which, again, like you said, penalty killers. And if that's where a team is struggling, especially going into the playoffs, you need that depth.
Absolutely.
And they're both veteran.
Right. And let's see.
I could see that for sure.
I want to see. I'm going to pull it up now. The show. I want to see what their salaries are. I know Nieto's not getting paid much.
I was talking to Nick, our friend Nick, and we were talking about Reimer actually, and how he's been playing so many games in a row now. Yeah. He's like, why aren't they giving Sawchenko? They have no faith in Sawchenko, and I'm going, well, I wonder how much of this is they're just seeing if they can make that one last little bit of a push, so they're riding him, or if they're giving the scouts something to showcase, like something to look at.
Possibly.
You know what I mean? The only problem I would have with that scenario is, dude, if you're playing this guy that many games in a row and he gets injured, there you go. And it's not like he's a spring chicken. He's getting up there in age too, so you're really getting...
he's 33. He's not that old.
He's not that old, but he's on the latter half of his career, right? Has this guy played that many games in the NHL? I mean, sorry, in a season. Has he played that many games in a season?
I think his most is probably 40-something. Yeah. No, I
so
agree.
So he just strung how many together in a row?
Yeah, I don't even know.
I thought it was like 10 or something like that. I forget what it was.
Yeah, because Aiden Hill's been out for so long.
Yeah,
but there's a break in there too because of the All-Star break.
Sure, but he's still night in, night out.
Yeah.
So I mean, this
I
is
was
a
kind
lot
of
of hockey
shocked.
for him.
I was shocked he was in today against Seattle. I thought Sawchenko. I actually thought Aiden Hill was going to come back by then, but he's still not out.
And actually, before you finish what you wanted to look up there, I just want to say James Reimer is doing a phenomenal job in that. I can't look at the losses that had been piling up previous and say this is all on James Reimer. Again, you have to look at the Sharks. Not for the big pie that is Sharks. You have to look at all the ingredients that go into that pie. And on a different nightly basis, there are different ingredients. Sometimes you got pecans, sometimes you got almonds, sometimes you got cranberries. I don't know. But it's a different team makeup than what you started the season off with. And he's doing the best he can in the pipes with guys that we've got so many defensemen that are out. He's doing the best he can with what he's been given. And I think he's done a bang-up job. He really has. So a lot of these losses, again, you guys thought it was me saying I'm a Martin Jones apologist. It's not a Martin Jones apologist. It's that I look at the goaltender's job, and I look at the people around the goaltender that are supposed to be providing him support. And when they're not, I just call it out. Sorry if you think that I'm apologizing for the goalies, but that's what it is.
He's started 32 games this season.
Yeah.
Now, and his save percentage is .916. I mean, Martin Jones had the low bar of 897. Anyone over 900, you're like, oh, this guy is great.
Right.
916 is fairly exceptional for
Yeah.
a team that has not been doing well. The Sharks would not be where they are.
Absolutely.
If they did not have James Reimer. I think MVP to him and Meyer, those two guys.
Sure, yeah.
Probably defensive MVP to Reimer and offensive MVP to defensive to Reimer, offensive to Meyer. I think I said that right.
And you did say it right the first time.
Okay. It sounded funny.
It's funnier that you corrected yourself.
Anyway, what was I going to say? Oh, so the cost of those players.
Okay.
That's what I was looking up. Dzingel, 1.1, surprisingly. Cogliano's 1. Barabanov is 1. Nieto is 850. That is a bargain, man, for what he gives to the team.
All those guys easily move to teams. It doesn't matter how up against the cap space they are. Every last one of those guys at those contracts, very easy to move.
Yep. And we're not expecting there's no first round picks coming back.
No.
Think.
But
although Bark Giordero did fetch a first round pick, but the Sharks had to trade a third round, I believe.
yeah, they got a first, but they gave up a third and Goodrow.
Which could happen. Maybe we trade one of our draft picks to make that pick coming back better.
Yeah.
I mean, basically trading at that point, trading our third round for our first round is basically trading it for a second round because Tampa Bay won the cup, and so it was the last pick in the draft.
Right.
But yeah, I would expect more assets coming in here. UFA market is not hot this year, correct? There's not that many. Just looking at that list of guys, there's not a lot on there. There's more RFAs that would be like, ooh, those guys are up, but you're like, no.
Anthony Sanchez says Reimer isn't going anywhere.
Well, we shall see. I mean, the Sharks would have to replace him because Hill's not going to be.
They got Sawchenko. He's got plenty of rest.
Carey Price.
I'm not spending another $10 million on
But then there would be
player.
a reason to get Carey Price if Reimer went out the door.
I think if you're going to spend $11.5 million on Erik Karlsson, you really have to stop trying to spend $10 million on other players, especially players that are out right now and you're not sure if and when they're going to be coming back. I don't think you do that. I understand it's only $3 million more, but it's still $3 million more for the same amount of years.
What if it was Vlasic and another player that's a terrible contract?
We can talk then, right? We can talk.
What if it was Vlasic and Šimik going out the door?
Vlasic and Šimik's 2 point something, isn't he?
What if it was Vlasic and LeBanc going
Let's
out
just
the door?
keep throwing some. Okay, if it's Vlasic and LeBanc, I take him.
There.
If it's Vlasic and LeBanc,
because it's less money.
If it's Vlasic and LeBanc,
partially
I'll take
less
Price.
money. Kind of less money because LeBanc's contract is up after when is this contract up? 3 years.
And a bag of bucks.
Well, are we playing Monopoly? Well, okay, what if I Park Place, but it's mortgaged?
Oh, Anthony Sanchez. Don't be surprised if EK65 is dealt this year with the Sharks taking back salary. I highly doubt it.
I highly doubt that, just because of the injury status. I think for me, it's not even the money because they'll make the money work. But for me, it's the injury status stuff. I think teams might be a little too scared. At least this season. Maybe next season, if he plays closer to like 70-something games, teams won't be put off by it. But
I mean, it depends on the salary retaining. I mean, people would take him for half that salary.
I actually have a hot take I can't say on camera here, but I have to talk with you after the show's done. So sorry, I didn't mean to just kind of
creepy.
Yeah.
Okay. Sonic Tonic said, agreed. I'm annoyed Bugner seems 100% opposed to playing Sawchenko ever, but that said, I'm really proud of Reimer. I have a feeling once the Sharks figure out, probably in this next week,
that they're not
going to be a playoff team, that we're going to see Sawchenko.
Yeah.
If assuming Hill's hurt still, I bet we see Sawchenko in net just to kind of give him some more NHL action.
Yeah.
He does have 2 relief appearances, but no starts this season.
And there's no reason not to.
Right.
So.
Yep. Then they'd be really like, yeah, give us a better draft pick. We want a lottery pick. That's when you know.
Oh, was that when you know?
Oh, Reimer, your elbow looks sore. You should go on the IR for a couple weeks. Anyway.
Some Mo Tussin.
Shake it up. Upcoming games for this week.
Sure.
There's only 3. Tuesday night in Vegas. That'll be an L.
Just right away, huh?
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, the Sharks are banged up right now.
Yeah.
They're so... I mean, so is Vegas, but Vegas has, I don't know, more... I mean, Eichel's back. That's a killer.
Yeah, they've got a lot more firepower.
So Tuesday's in Vegas. Saturday is home against Nashville.
Okay.
It's a 5 p.m. start, which is odd. And then the next day, another back-to-back. So they have a break from Tuesday to Saturday,
right?
But then it's a back-to-back, which is NHL's so weird doing that. So they're going, but it's Anaheim, so they're not going far. It's only an hour flight.
Right.
So they're going to be playing in Anaheim. And again, another 5 p.m. start, which means our next show will be next Sunday, normal time, 9 p.m.
Yay.
Yeah. And it'll be after a game, too.
It'll be post-game.
Yeah. So what do you think? 3 games on the docket.
I don't know what to think anymore, and I'll tell you why. I don't know what team is showing up, and I don't mean the whole stereotypical, the Sharks are 2 teams. They're Jekyll and Hyde. Every fan base says this about their team, right? Sometimes they show up, sometimes they don't. What I mean to say is I don't know physically, like literally, who's going to be in the lineup that night because people are getting injured or they're swapping in. Hey, by the way, Scott Reedy getting his first goal, first NHL goal, and Gadjevich. Yep. Although that one was off the foot and
totally meant to do that.
Hey, man, you crashed the net. Good things happen.
They don't ask how.
Good on you.
They don't ask how.
They don't ask how.
Just
they ask how many, and he's got 1. Yep. So, and same with Scott Reedy.
He's got half as many as Gregor.
That poor guy, dude.
Actually, no. Gregor's up. Didn't he get another one? He got another one.
He's got 3. Right? He's got 3, doesn't he?
Oh, he's got...
Tell me he's got 3.
No, he still has 2.
He has 2, okay.
He still has 2.
No, I know he didn't get one tonight. No, and I saw him tonight. They were like, Gregor, and like he had to step on the guy, and look, he was going to grab the puck and cut in and have a break on his own, and he just lost the puck.
Since we've talked last week, his shooting percentage went down from 2.2 to 2.1%. The only player worse than him in the NHL in terms of scoring goals?
No.
The Don Father.
Really?
He has a goal this season.
No way.
And he has more shots. Probably more. Yeah. But in terms of like shooting percentage, for someone that's taken over 60 shots or something,
right.
Those 2 guys are leading the league in the way you don't want to lead.
Wow. Not golf score stuff, huh?
Right.
Oh, well. I'm sorry. I'm still on the anybody but Noah Gregor at this point train, and I don't dislike
there
the
is
guy.
Nobody.
There is. They
Reedy?
brought in Scott Reedy, didn't they?
Yeah, and he got a goal.
So who'd they sit? The Dolan's out, right? Is he injured?
No.
Put him back in.
Dolan?
Yeah.
No. I think Dolan's out of shape.
I don't care.
I think he took that All-Star break and he went hard, and he's out of shape. He didn't touch the puck. He didn't touch the skates. He didn't do anything. That's what I think. Plus, 82 games is a grind, man. These guys are not used to it. That's the other thing. It takes probably 3 or 4 seasons for a player to really get used to playing 82 games.
And I'm on board with that. I get that, but I guess my point is, even an out of shape, coming off of what do you call it, All-Star break hangover, Dahlin is probably getting more goals at this point than 100% Gregor. The poor guy, it's not like I have it out for him and I just hate the guy. I don't hate the guy. He's snake bit. He can't put the puck in the net. He can't. So until he changes his game to do something that's a little more valuable to the team, scoring goals ain't it. So I don't know. For me, if you're looking for depth scoring, putting him on the rink ain't gonna get you what you're looking for. He's getting chances. He's getting lots of good chances. He can't put the puck in the net. He can't put the puck in the net.
You know what's funny? I was reading Elliot Friedman of Sportsnet. I think he's on Sportsnet.
Okay.
He put together 5 players to watch at the trade deadline. And Noah Gregor was on it.
No.
Yeah.
Watch him do what?
I was like, yes, absolutely. This guy is a top 5 guy that needs to be traded. Yes. Thank you, Elliot Friedman, for putting that on everyone's radar. Because if you look at the advanced stats, because of his chances for versus the chances against, he's up there.
Okay, so here's my question.
And it's
Corey,
his speed. It's his speed that he has elite NHL speed.
Sorry. Corey Massasak, maybe he can help me out with this one. What is the stat that's telling everybody that Noah Gregor should be a top 5 guy to look at?
Chances for versus chances against.
Wonderful. How about doesn't expected goals for count for anything anymore? Yeah. Okay, good. So is he expected to score?
Expected to score a ton of goals.
He's expected to.
So he has bad luck.
This is why I have problems with advanced stats that start with the word expected. He's expected to.
God, he's
got a 2.1% shooting percentage. Doesn't the basic stat count for anything anymore?
You're such an old man waving his fist to get off my lawn.
Loud noises.
Loud noises. Yeah, I think super producer Jason's meter on my mic is just bouncing off the red line right now. But whatever. I'm just saying he can't put the puck in the net.
I am not disagreeing with you. I'm saying he should be somebody else's problem.
Look, do we want a
The problem is the Sharks are going to trade him. They're going to get like a 3rd-round pick for him, and then all of a sudden he's going to be a 20-goal scorer. That's what's going to happen.
Fine, then good for him. If he needs to change the scenery, do it. But it ain't working in teal. It's not working in teal. That's all I'm saying. Do we want a team of theoretically awesome players? They're all expected to score and they don't? Is that what we should want?
Oh man, if you can make an all-roster team of that. How many times can they hit the post and not score?
It's just, and again, I don't hate the guy. And if he's watching right now, I don't hate you. I just wish you could finish putting the puck in the net, because apparently you're getting tons of chances and you're a top 5 in the eyes of people that should be getting traded. I don't know, man. It's just, I don't know. I don't know where the line between advanced stats and reality is supposed to be drawn.
Paul needs to learn how to read, and then he will understand these better.
What am I? I'm not reading? What am I not reading?
See, he's not reading.
Whatever. Anyway, I'm just saying.
All right, 3 games. What do you think?
Yeah, 3
Vegas,
games. Nashville,
Anaheim.
I'm with you on the Vegas loss. I think that one's kind of, everyone's going to guess that, right? And for good reason. In terms of Nashville, I just don't know enough about Nashville and how they're doing this season. Anaheim, again, Anaheim's a really good team. I think we can beat them.
Okay, right now in the standings, Anaheim is in 5th in the division, but it's very tight.
They're ahead of LA or no?
LA is in 2nd.
Really?
Yes, it goes.
You know what? They went on a big win streak recently, though.
8-1-1.
Yeah.
Goes Calgary, who went 9-1. They're at 68 points with 2 games in hand over LA, who are at 65 points. So Calgary is just lighting it up, as well as Los Angeles. Yeah. Vegas is actually 4-5-1
in the last 10. You mean, yeah, okay.
They're at 62 points. Edmonton's right behind at 61. And then Anaheim's right behind that at 59, and Vancouver's behind them at 58. It is very tight those last The last
Right.
2 spots in the division.
And then there's us at what, like 55,
54 after
54,
tonight.
okay.
Yeah. So we're out of it. We're done ski, but I think someone said, I'm going to make a bold prediction that Vegas does not make playoffs. And I laughed at it and then looked at the standings and they go, oh. there's a good chance that could happen.
Yeah.
Because Edmonton, since Woodcroft took over, new coach,
Yeah.
and adding Evander Kane, they've turned things around. They're now 6-4 in their last 10 instead of 1-9 or something.
See, and again, people are going to go, see, Evander Kane, not bad for the locker room.
No. And then, for the first couple years.
Exactly. And you know what, again, I said it. I'm sure he was thinking it or said it too. I wish him all the best. He's going to go to a team, Edmonton, and he's going to do well. And he's going to be very good for that team to start off at least, right? Cool. The guy needs to get 1-year contracts from here on out.
Right.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
And again, I'm glad that he's found a spot where it works for him for now. But I don't want to hear, we should have kept Evander Kane. Like, that's not the case. It's just not the case. So I'm, again, happy for him. Good for Edmonton, kind of turning things around and whatnot. I can't believe they have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, and they're turning things around.
Two guys can only do so much.
Well, they could do a lot, though. When they're 1-2 in terms of points, like season in, season out. Mm-hmm. Anyway.
It would be fantastic if the Sharks go in and beat Vegas. I think it would be hilarious to play spoiler and knock Vegas out of the playoffs.
Let's. I want you to finish talking about this, but I want to put something out to them so they can comment while you're talking about it.
Sure.
What happens if the Sharks go on a stupid run?
It's not going to happen.
Okay, it's not going to happen. But what happens if the Sharks go on a stupid run? And they're really close. Do you think that they still are thinking, well, let's continue with our rebuild? If they still trade to Hurdle, if we're right there, but maybe, do we still go for it?
That's in 3 weeks from now.
Yeah.
They would have to basically not lose a game for 3 weeks. Yeah, it's not happening.
That's not happening. But I'm just saying, if they were to creep up that close to the wild card position, do you think that makes the decision a little bit tougher?
No.
No? You just go forward with it.
It's just not
so
happening.
In your mind, Hurdle's already gone.
He's either already gone or he's signing an 8x8.
If I'm Hurdle, I don't know if I want to sign for 8 years.
I just don't think there's like an in-between there.
Yeah?
It's either all in or all out. That's what I feel like.
Okay. There you go.
What do you think?
I'm posing the question. I don't know what to think. I want to know what they think. See, this is the way the show works, Aaron, is that it's a conversation.
They think it's late and we should go to bed.
Probably true. Anyway, go ahead and finish what you were...
I was just saying they could play spoiler, at least for this week. If they beat Vegas and then Anaheim beats us, that would jump Anaheim up even closer to Vegas. That stuff, everything is so close.
Right.
So, yeah.
You think we're getting 2 points out of this?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say we beat Vegas and then we lose to Nashville and Anaheim.
Okay. Just like a in-your-face Vegas and then shut it down.
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to say we're getting 2 points, but I don't think it's happening against Vegas. I think we get 2 points against Anaheim.
Okay.
And I think we kind of accidentally play spoiler to Anaheim, and Vegas kind of brings themselves up a little higher there. Unintentional, but I think that's what happens.
See, the other thing is the teams that are more on the cusp of playoffs are going to be playing harder than the ones that are like have a comfortable lead.
Sure.
I think. Not that Vegas has a very comfortable league, but I think like Nashville is in 4th in their division, 1 point behind Minnesota for 3rd. So it's very tight with them. I just think that's going to be a harder game.
Okay.
All right. Big gulps, huh?
Did any responses come through on that question? Just want to see if anybody had any responses there.
Nope.
Anything interesting to bring up in the comments there? Or are we good to go here?
Front End Zen said Noah Gregor will break out of his slump soon.
No, he won't. He will not.
He's been breaking out of his slump for a long time.
Bro, he's
trying to break out of his slump.
Here's the thing. Okay, he'll score one more goal, and it'll happen probably in the next like week or two.
Oh,
and then,
that's going on in a limb right there.
And then he'll go right back to where he was. But for that first week or two, all I'm going to do is come on this show and listen to your comment telling me about, see, I told you he was going to break out of his slump.
Right.
Okay, let's watch out for the rest of the season, and then I'm going to throw it right back in your face. And you don't want that because I like you, sort of. So, if Hurdle gets dealt, I see him going to Florida.
I would hope so.
Yeah, I want
him and Jumbo together would be cool.
Look, if he gets dealt, I want him to go wherever he has the best chance at winning, period. I still like the guy, and I want success for him. Okay?
I could see him in Colorado, Florida, or what was the other one? Boston. He's been linked to Boston.
He's got the body for it. Yeah, for sure.
He would be probably a second-line center because they kind of need one right now.
Oh,
a bigger guy. They're kind of small.
Lundy just had a comment that Super Producer Jason put on the screen. Can you put that back there for me real quick there? He was asking about viewers. Yeah, is this low viewers than usual? If he's talking about the show. Well, that's why we ask for your guys' help on that. So when you see us going live, if you can retweet us out or share us or whatever it is to your Sharks friends and family, get us out there. That's how the show grows. That's how you can help support the show. You can also do that by going to thefinfactor.com and getting some t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, fanny packs. We have this wonderful canteen here, so we've got stuff that you can do to support the show. Also, super chat, if you would like to do that while we're going live, make sure that your comment gets read out. We've done that every single time we see a super chat come in. We immediately stop the show, throw a parade, and then we read that question off. And address it immediately. Also, Venmo we have. I know a lot of folks don't like giving because I guess YouTube takes a little bit of it. So if you want to do it without having to give to YouTube as well, you can go through Venmo at the Fin Factor. Again, we'll hopefully Super Producer Jason's checking that, and if we get that comment, we will address it right then and there, or we will handle it the next show, I guess. Yeah. So we can bring that up there. All good ways to support the show. If you guys are enjoying it, we do appreciate you doing anything and everything that you can. So there you go. Anything last second thing, or are we wrapping this up?
Nope. Let's do it.
Wrapping it up. Okay. Again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you, and we love having the comments. Please do all those things I already said twice. Just do it again. Okay. That's it. So for Super Producer Jason, I'm Paul.
And I'm Aaron.
And we will see you guys
next week
on Sunday post-game.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, check out our other content, especially interviews. You can interact with us directly through social media at The Fin Factor and on Instagram at Fin Factor. And don't forget to join our live streams on YouTube.
Visit our website at thefinfactor.com, where you'll find all of our episodes as videos or podcasts. You'll also find our exclusive merchandise to help support our show.